Okay, dude. This is fly number 3. I'm going to show you a version of an elk hair caddis that you probably haven't actually tried. I'm going to tie this in size 12. I've tied a couple of them down into size 14. That's about as small as I go. You can tie them up as big as you want. I've got a couple of big ones in there. But I tie them on this emerger hook. And I'm going to give you a little tip too. These are Togen fly hooks. Okay, Togen. Okay, you can go to Togen. I think it's TogenEnterprises.com on the web. Okay, they're premium fly hooks. They're good fly hooks. They're sharp as hell. I mean, I have zero problem out of them. They sell probably about 8 different versions. And they're cheap as hell. You can buy. I buy 100 of them for basically $7.10 or something like that. So about 7 cents a hook. And since I'm a regular customer, I actually get 10% off of that. So I get about 70 cents a hook off of that after the discount. So anyway, so I mean, for $6 for 100 hooks, I mean, you can tie all day long. And since I like to experiment and shit like that, I buy hundreds of them. I'll buy 500 hooks at a time, right? In different sizes, different color, different shapes, that type of thing. But they have all the different typical shapes you want: dry fly, wet fly, and all that. I've got some on the way. So anyway, I'm gonna tie my version of, we'll say, an elk hair caddis, and this can be used as an emerger. This can be used as a dry fly, but basically it's going to have a hair wing, so it's going to have some flotation to it and all that. But I even put a little bit of poly underneath it. So anyway, I'm going to start out. I got rusty dun color here. It don't make a shit what color thread you use. I mean, it's like, hell, that's entirely up to you, man. The thread is irrelevant to me. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to wind this all the way down the hook, even on a little bit onto the bend, because I want to get a little bit of a curve shape to this fly. And then basically I'm just going to make sure the hook's good and covered. I'll go back and forth once or twice, right? I don't want to build up too much at this point in time, okay? But I'm going to snip that off. Okay, and now I'm going to use something. I put a rib in there, okay, on this stuff. And this is basically boutique ribbon, right? You can go to a Hobby Lobby and buy a freaking roll that will last you more than your lifetime, right? I mean, this thing is, it's 24 feet, okay? I use about maybe 6 inches per fly or something like that, right? But this stuff is called Organza, and it's in the ribbon section of like a hobby store or something like that. By the way, I go to hobby stores a lot. I don't buy a lot of fly tying materials like that foam that I use on the flies and everything like that. I buy like a 2-foot square sheet for like 97 cents. Right, this stuff right here says right on there $1.99 for 24 feet. Right, this is olive color. I've got 2 or 3 different colors that I actually use. But what you do is you take, and it comes basically with 2 sides. If you take a look at this, okay, it comes basically with a rib on 2 sides. You cut the one side off, okay, and then you pull the crosshairs out of it, okay? So I basically just I already had them pulled away. What you do is you stick like a little bodkin or something like that in there and kind of separate the hairs and all that, and put it on there. And then what you end up with, okay, is basically it's a synthetic hackle. Okay, so I'm going to take and I'm going to tie this on. I cut a couple extra hairs away down at the bottom of the fly, okay, or a couple of those extra hairs away out of the fly, and then I come up, and what I try to do is tie the thing so that the fibers are facing backward. Okay, so that ultimately, what I'm going to get a rib out of the existing rib that's still there. I'm going to build up a little body while I'm talking. Get a little rib while I'm actually winding forward, and I actually get the synthetic hackle, which sparkles like a big dog in the water. I mean, it's like they're hollow fibers, so they basically it looks like it's just glowing, right? So in this case, where the hell did my dubbing go, man? Son of a bitch. I blew my dubbing off the goddamn table, I guess. Well, ain't that a bitch? It's all right. I'm gonna have to dig back in and get some dubbing. Okay, so you can use any color you want. In this case, I'm gonna use some possum. I'm gonna go gray and maybe a little bit of tan in there is what I'm gonna try and go with. Um, and you can add some sparkle if you want. Yeah, that's how I do it. Right. So I go tan and gray. Shoot, I don't want that. Here we go. Tan and gray is basically what I've got as far as my mix goes, and that all worked just fine. And and typically you want the rib to be a little bit of a contrasting color. In this case, it's probably a little bit more than what I would normally do on a fly, but I want you to be able to see this real good. So I'm using a little bit of a lighter color on the rib or on the dubbing than I normally would, just because I want you to see see what this organza looks like on the fly itself. Okay, so basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take and wind this on. Okay, and it can, I typically go as buggy as I can go with this stuff. I just, I do not mind these flies being a little bit buggy. I find that the buggier they look, as far as, scruffy and everything like that, shoot, the more the fish like them around here, man. I mean, it's like, I just like them hairy, man. So wind that up to about, 3/4 of the way up the hook or something like that. Now watch this, okay? I take this, shoot, come on, don't turn on me. Okay, if you actually, this ain't cooperating with me. I tied it on a little bit cockeyed. That's why I'm having a little bit of trouble here. So, but if you tie it on correctly to begin with, you won't have this problem. Shit, son of a bitch. There we go. Okay. All right. So I come around once. Okay. Now watch this as this comes up. It's putting a rib and it's putting some hackle right on that fly, and it just looks awesome. And when you put this thing in the water, holy smokes! I mean, it just sparkles. Okay, tie that off, clip off the extra. You can use that for other things. So here's where you can actually come in. I've got like a little, if you got a little gun cleaning wire brush or something like that. Okay, but go through there and kick out as many fibers as you can. Okay, underneath that organza, and then just brush everything back. Okay. And what you end up with is just, I mean, when this thing gets wet, oh my goodness. It's just, it's awesome. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is take and put on an underwing, okay? And I'm going to use, here's my dubbing right there. How did I miss that? I had that all set, okay? I'm going to put on an underwing of foam, okay? Like I said, I like my flies to float, and I don't like basically having a fly where I've got to basically dress it all the time to keep the darn thing floating. I like the darn thing to float, man. So basically, what I've got is I tied on a shoot. I got to see what's going on here. I tied on a poly wing, that same yarn that I used on the ant. Okay, I tied it on down the hook like that. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull back the front piece. Okay, and tie it down. So now I've actually got the double width of that poly foam. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that back to the back of the hook. Okay, and I end up with basically a nice foam wing on that caddis. Okay. Shoot, I threw my yarn away. Okay, then I'm going to take, okay, and I'm going to put a hackle on, okay, a real hackle, like a, feather hackle, okay. In this case, I've got basically, I need something a little bit bigger, okay. There we go. That wasn't big enough. Okay, I'm just going to use Grizzly so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, and I'm tying that in on the side. I'm going to tie it on the side nearest me. Okay, I've got basically, you know, all I want there. Okay, I'm going to tie on just a hair more dubbing. Okay, to just make sure that I've got some sort of a blend before I start. Okay, and I'm going to tie it up there. I'm going to tie it hairy. Okay, okay, and then I'm going to put on a hair wing. I'm going to put on my elk hair wing. So I'm going to take, I just got like regular natural colored elk hair right now. I'm going to cut off a little clump of that. Okay. I'm reaching over here. I got a little trash thing that hangs off my table right here, dude. I'm going to pull out all the under fur and everything like that. Okay. Get all the trash off my desk. Okay. I'm going to put it in my stacker. Okay, make sure that everything's going. I've had this stacker since the day I started, man. It's like an old-fashioned one that I got with my Thompson tying kit when I first started. Okay, stacks the hair just fine. Shit. Okay, then I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna just measure the wing. Just go. You want to go about the same length of the yarn. Okay, so basically it's like do that, pinch it. Okay, come up here. Okay, and what I do is I try to wrap a little bit forward before I start torquing down on the thread. Okay, and then just come back, start winding back over everything and winding back toward the back of the fly to get that wing to stand up. And what I'm trying to do is get a little bit of a a base there because I'm getting ready to put my hackle on. I'm gonna clip off the front, just like you normally would on an elk hair caddis. Okay. Let's make sure I ain't got no wild hairs, everything like that. So clean it up a little bit. There's two standing up there. I don't want them damn things. Okay. All right. So, and then I'm gonna come in. Whoops. And I'm gonna wind my hackle on up on the front part of the fly. I'm going to go right up to that the head parts of the elk hair caddis. Okay, take one or two wraps in there, then I'm going to basically go in and pull everything back and wind around that front part. Okay, so that I can do it, and then I'll take just whip finish. And go like that. Okay, then snip off. Okay, you can snip off anything that's around the eye, something that might want to interfere or something like that. Okay, you can put some head cement on there if you want. Okay, but now what you've got is a super sparkle, super elk hair caddis. I normally try to give my wings a little bit of life and everything like that once it's done. But you can see that thing right there is going to float. Okay, and it's basically going to sparkle underneath the water. There's an under side look at it. Okay, the overside, top side, if you want to take a look at that. Okay, but this fly is killer. Okay, I've actually tied it in a little bit bigger sizes. Sometimes I go with rubber legs, and put some small rubber legs on it or something like that. But this fly should catch you some fish, man.